Hi all, welcome to Spring Framework tutorial series for the beginner. This is the seventh video on how to configure auto-wiring in XML file and also at the Java side using auto-wire annotations. We'll be learning a different type of auto-wire concept that is used by name, by type and constructor base, and later on we'll be introducing you the @auto-wire annotation from the Java end and qualifier annotation from the Java end. So we'll create a simple project of Airtel, which is having service called HelloTunes and missed call alert service, and we will be having beans.xml file where all the beans configuration will be done, and we'll be having one pom.xml file where we will be add dependency to use the Spring Core. So we already have a playlist on Spring Framework tutorial series for beginners. You can go and have a look on that to get enough understanding on Spring IOC, dependency injection using setter method or using constructor based method. So let's get started. Before going ahead with the video, I request you please subscribe to the channel, and if you have any issue you can ask on the comment section. So I will create a just a simple project with, so we have created one service interface which having a method called service, and we have HelloTunes service and miscalled service. HelloTunes service is implemented the service interface, and it have one constructor printing HelloTunes beans created and override the service methods and printed HelloTunes services activated. There is another class called miscalled alert service which implement the service, and a simple constructor printed and simply overriding the service class or the service method, and we are printing missed call alert service is activated. And in there is one class is Airtel is there, and we are uh, using the service class, and we are setting the service, and we are using one activate service method, and we are calling the service method. And in the main class we are creating container call application context. All these things whatever I am explaining, I have explained on the injecting object in the Spring tutorial. You can go and watch the series and to get like enough understanding. And we are printing some statement, and we are getting the Airtel object bin. I'll show you from where this Airtel object bins are getting, and we are calling the activate service function. In the beans.xml file, we have created the two bins of HelloTunes bin and missed call alert service bins, and there is one alert Airtel bins, which is like inside that we have a sub bin, or we can say the inner bin of service. If we go to this Airtel class, this inner bin of service, and to use Spring Framework, I have added the two dependencies like Spring Core and Spring Context. So let me run the applications, and we'll see the details is coming, because we will be using HelloTunes service object. So we'll be printing like HelloTunes beans created, and like those type of thing. HelloTunes service is activated. So let me run the application. We see that HelloTunes beans created and miscalled beans created, and HelloTunes service is being activated. So this project is working fine. Now I will go to this part, and where I'll be introducing auto add concept in the XML file. So I will be using auto add by name, auto add by type, auto add by constructor property. So let me go one by one. So first I will use auto add by name. So for that I will go to this beans.xml file, and you see that we are manually using the properties like of this service hello tune service. So instead of that manually, I will just comment is out, and in this bin like outer bin of Airtel, we have on property called auto add. Then we'll be using by name first. So what does it means that by name? And let me do some refactor of the code. So in Airtel I will use called missed call service alert. To explain you like a better way, I'm using the missed call alert service. Later on, when I will be explaining you the concept of auto at the rate qualifier annotation, then I will be revert to service class. So what does it means? The Airtel is having dependency called missed call alert service. So if I did like auto add by name, so what happened that let me run the application and then I will explain you. So if we observe that the HelloTune beans created and beans will obviously will create because the beans tag are being used, and we see that there is a one error called null pointer exception. And then what was the error? Like this dot service is null. So if you go to this line number 12 Airtel, so before that in line number 12 it is saying the service is null because it is not able to inject the dependencies. Why it is not able to inject the dependency? Because we are using Autowire by name. So when we will be using Autowire by name, so it will go to this Airtel class and it will check the Airtel dependencies. So Airtel having the dependency called service. So it will look in this bean.xml file. So and it will search if in the beans.xml file if there is any beans which is having IDS service. So there is no beans which is having IDS service. So I have searched for service. There is no beans which is having IDS service. So that's why it is not able to inject the value. So instead I will just click this and I will change this as a service. Now what happened that it will go to this service and it will create the beans and it will check if this bin name service is present in the IOC container or not. Let me run the application. So now we see that missed call alert service is activated because in this missed call service we have a method called missed call alert service activated. So now it is working fine. So now I introduce auto add by type. So by type. So what by type will actually do? So instead of that, I will just revert this previous statement only. Missed call service object. Missed call service object, and I will go to this Airtel class. So instead of missed call service, let use HelloTuneService here. And so if you see that we have two beans or missed call service object and HelloTuneService object, and we are auto adding by type. So what does it means? So by type means it will check the type of the object. So there are two objects which having one object have HelloTuneService type and another object have missed call service type. So it will go to this Airtel object bin. So it will go to this Airtel object class and it will check that what is the type of this dependency. So type of this dependency is HelloTuneService. So by name, when we are working for the by name, it is just check for the variable service. Now it will check for the type, that is HelloTuneService type. So it will look for uh, any of the beans that is created on the IOC container which type is HelloTuneService. So let me run the application. Yeah, now we see that HelloTuneService is activated. It is showing because this type is matched with HelloTuneService. Now there is another auto-wiring type, this auto-add by constructor. So that by the or constructor means it is expecting a constructor should present on the Airtel class. So let me create a constructor. Go to this generate constructor service. So this is the HelloTune constructor. I will create a statement called sysout constructor. So I will run the application. So if you are still watching the video, I request you please subscribe to the channel, and if you have any issue, you can ask on the comment section. So now we see the constructor is called because the constructor object is constructor method is now called, and we see the HelloTunes service is being activated. So this is almost done. Now we'll introduce @Autowire annotation. So now like doing this we are like Spring is configuring our dependencies. Previously what we did manual configuration using the property stack, but now we are not using the property stack, and now we'll be using @Autowire annotations to inject the dependency. So I will remove totally this Autowire constructor, and to use @Autowire annotations, so I'll go to this Airtel.java class, write the Autowire annotation before the constructor. Before the constructor, I am doing the Autowire annotations, and also uh, while using the Autowire annotations, the Spring is expecting to have one default constructor. So let me create that constructor as well. Constructor set none. It is the default constructor. To go to this bean class. So and yeah, to use the @Autowire annotations, there will be a one tag that I need to be add here called context annotation config. So to use this context annotation config, I need to edit this beans definition. So let me add the context for that. So I have added the schema slash context and the context beans context, those type of dependencies or the definitions. And to enable the auto-add annotation, we are using the auto-add annotation. So to enable that, we have to use context annotation config. So doing this, we are enabling the auto-add annotation. So let me run the applications, and to understand that, I will create another statement called Autowire. I run the application. See that constructor called Autowire called, then it is showing the bean HelloTune successfully is activated. Now we have used the Autowire concept as well, but there is a one issue is there. Let me show that issue. So instead of this HelloTune service, I will be using service, and I will change everything as a service and Airtel HelloTune service. So doing this, what it is expecting, that Spring is expecting a beans called service in this beans.xml file, but there is no beans.xml file. And if there is no beans.xml file, it will go by type. So it will check for the type. Type is what? Type is service. But both this HelloTune service and MissedCall service are of service type. So the Spring is confused there, and it will be not able to inject the dependency. So on that, we will be using qualifier annotation. Let me show you that first, that what is the issue is coming. I will run the application. Now if you see that the error is coming, so what is the error? So if you clearly observe, the unsatisfied dependency exception through constructor parameter 0, and the error message is like, yeah, expected single matching bean, because it is expecting only one beans, but it's found two beans, HelloTune service and MissedCallAlertService service. So it is taking the two service, and Spring is confused which to inject. So for that, I will be using qualifier annotation. So I will go there, and I will use qualifier QUA qualifier, and I will specifically mention the bean that we used miscalled alert service. So why it is giving error? It's giving error as the qualifier is not applicable to constructor. Yeah, so we're not able to use qualifier to the constructor. So let me go to this, copy this qualifier and auto add, and use this before the setter service method. So let me run the application. Yeah, now we see then missed call alert service is being printed, missed call alert service activated, and there is no Airtel beans there is no Airtel constructor object is being created. So what is that issue is that there is one issue not the issue, you can imagine like that way. So when we are using Autowire at the constructor level before the constructor, so it will indirectly call this Autowire using constructor. So we have there now what we are using constructor, that actually means. So if we use Autowire before the setter method, so that actually means it is first looking by name, and if by name does not match, then it is looking by type. So if by type also did not match, then it will go for qualifier. So in this case, by name does not match. Why by name does not match? Because the service is being provided, and the service name does not match with any of the object name, HelloTuneService object or MissedCallAlertService object, as well as the type does not match. Type matched, but it is having the two beans called HelloTuneService and the MissedCall service. So Spring is confused. Now what happened? Now it will go for qualifier, and this qualifier, we have specifically mentioned this MissedCallAlertService object. So now it is printing the MissedCallAlertService. Now, so if we use AutoAdd before the dependency, so let me use the AutoAdd before the dependency and see what is that any issue is coming or not. I will cut it and I will paste here, and I will remove all the setter method and constructor level of method, and I will run the application. So on running this application, able to get the details, means the beans is created, and it is injected the missed call alert service, and from that we are calling the service, and we are getting all the statements successfully. So what does it means? If we use AutoAdd before any dependency, so now Spring is not using setter method to inject the dependencies. So we are removing the setter and constructor. So there is one question is that, so is Autowire possible for primitive data type? So if we have one field called private int number of sim equal to something, so if we use Autowire before that, so is it possible or not? Let me know in the comment section. So now what happened that we are using everything on this configuration file. So we are passing the value. In the upcoming videos, I will totally remove this beans.xml file, and I will be using the lots of annotations like bean annotation, bean annotation, component annotation to create the beans, component scan annotation to create or scan all the beans. So in my upcoming videos, I will totally remove this beans.xml file, and also I'll be using the properties file, application.properties file, where we'll be passing the value. So we'll use value annotation, required annotations. So a lot of things are on the way to come. So please subscribe to the channel, and if you have any issue or doubts, you can ask on the comment section. So thank you for watching the video.